Hey guys, it's Martin here. It's Saturday morning, and I'm on my own in the apartment, which doesn't happen very often these days. Caitlin, our roommate, went home to Indiana for Thanksgiving and everything, which isn't something I'm used to celebrating. I'm still getting used to that. Uh, but yeah, as a result, Mariana's gone to rehearsal, and I'm here on my own for a few hours, and it's not great. It's not something I enjoy being alone. I've talked about it. I think I talked about it last week, and I had a bit of a breakdown this morning. I won't lie. Had to take my meds, and I don't know if my eyes look red as a result of all the crying I was doing. I was half expecting to start this video still crying, which is sad that I was expecting that, but I'm happy that I was able to regroup, so to speak, and be in a decent state when this thing started. But I don't think I've ever started a video crying. I think I've finished a lot of them, but not quite, at the beginning ever before. So this was I needed to do. We're still here today. I didn't want to, but I need to, because I feel very alone and not in a good place right now. And so talking to you guys helps me not feel that way. So without further ado, here's something that makes me happy. I went to see Mockingjay Part 2 last night with some friends and with Mariana, who is also my friend. I shouldn't negate her. I shouldn't exclude her from that category. But I went to see it, and I'll be honest, I'm not a huge Hunger Games fan. I'm not saying I dislike it, but I didn't read the books, and for the most part, I don't think the movies are that great. But the reason I'm talking about it here, and the reason it's something that makes me happy, is because it's something I've been experiencing with Mariana, my wife, for those of you who are new to the series. We went to the first movie in the theaters when it came out. I believe it was when I first moved out here and had gotten married to her. With her? Got married with her. Yes, she was there as well. We went to see the first movie, and I liked the first movie. A lot of people didn't, and I understand their reasons for it, but I thought the first movie was a nice little, it was, I hate to say nice, it's a film about children being murdered violently, but I thought it was very well directed, and I thought, Jennifer Lawrence was, of course, incredible. And I liked it just because I got to have that experience with my wife, and I believe she was my wife at the time. I think we'd already tied the knot. And I'd have to count backwards through all the movies. I'm pretty sure that there's been, yes, I think 5 years is how long the movies have been going. So yes, we should have been married, unless I'm way off on my calculations regarding the Hunger Games release schedule. But and after seeing that first one, and Mariana was big into that first movie. We only saw it the once in theaters, but when she got it on DVD, she must have watched it and rewatched it about 12 times in the first month that she owned that film. And I don't blame her. It's obviously it's empowering, and it's, if you like future dystopian society stuff and young adult fiction, that's pretty much top echelon, I guess. But yeah, she's way more into it than I am. But as her husband, I want to share in the things she enjoys. And we went to see Catching Fire, and I was not that impressed by it at the time. A lot of people said it was an improvement over the first film, but I just saw it as being the same film, almost only louder. In many different regards. It was a bigger budget, bigger cast, more CGI, and yes, I'm sure it was a faithful adaptation, but as a person who isn't a fan of the books, I don't really care about the faithfulness. I just didn't care about the stuff that was going on in the film that much. But, it wasn't awful. I didn't dislike it. And then Mockingjay Part 1 came out, and we actually went with the friends that I saw the movie with last night. We went to a marathon of all the Hunger Games films leading up to Mockingjay Part 1. And I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed watching them all in a series. I did the same thing with the Hobbit trilogy. And quite frankly, I would only watch those films played in sequence on a big screen, because otherwise they're kind of a mess. Like, I wouldn't ever watch the third Hobbit film on its own. It feels just like an extended scene cut from the second film. But Mockingjay Part 1 we saw as part of this marathon, and I thought it was amazing, and I still think it's amazing. I watched it before we watched the new one, and I think it's brilliant. And it's really strange to have gone from being kind of, sort of interested in the series, then completely apathetic towards it, and then really invested. Because something about that film, it hits a very interesting emotional note with me, and I'm sure it does with a lot of people, because it deals with, PTSD and, anxiety and depression, as is in keeping with this series. The first, some of the first lines of dialogue you hear in that film are, I wish those people were dead, and I wish we were dead too. And it's like, how do you beat that as far as dark openings for a film go? And then the ending is extremely dark as well. I don't want to spoil anything for people who might end up, eventually watching them, but the ending to Part 1 is one of the darkest movie endings I've ever seen. And I say that in the context of the series, in the context of what's going on with those characters, that ending is pretty, is rock bottom for them. But I got a lot out of it, because obviously it came out last year when I was dealing with some of the worst of my depression, and watching Jennifer Lawrence go through the things that she's going through, and watching Peter, the character of Peter Malak, I don't know offhand the name of the guy playing him, and I'm sure you'll tell me in the comments. But I thought, watching them deal with the things they were dealing with, obviously to a lesser extent on Peter's behalf, but to a more intense extent, I identified with that. And while I've not been injected with Tracker Jacker venom to cause me to hallucinate things, I have been on medication. And while some of them have been very helpful, some of them haven't. And I wouldn't say they've made things worse, and I wouldn't say that I've gone crazy, but I've been caused to sink. It's caused me to sink deeper into the quicksand of my depression occasionally, just because of, if I feel like if I can't get help, then there is no help. And that's not true, but it's very easy to perceive things that way, especially when things aren't working. But I saw the new film, and while, I'll be honest, I thought it was the worst one, I got a lot out of it. It's really strange to be saying that, but I've gone on this journey with my wife and with my friends and with Jennifer Lawrence in the movies, and to see her at the end, and this is going to contain spoilers because I have to talk about spoilers in order to address how it made me feel. So if you don't like spoilers, skip about 2 minutes ahead. But at the end of the film, Jennifer Lawrence is basically ready to sacrifice everything. And when I say that, I do mean she's suicidal. And I'm sure it goes into more detail about this in the books, but in the movies, it's not stated overtly. I mean, it's shown overtly, but it's not ever, she never comes out and says, I'm going to kill myself. It's just something that you see happening. And to watch her go from the character that she is, this strong-willed character in the first movie, to a character that sees no point in existing anymore, it's hard not to see a reflection of that, in yourself, if you're going through what I'm going through and what I'm sure a lot of you are going through. And it was difficult to watch that character feel that way. And I'm not saying that it was the best representation of this stuff, because I've heard nothing but criticism of, the third book in the series about how it goes overboard with the whole PTSD thing and Katniss freaking out. But in the film, it's downplayed compared to that, I believe. But you see her in this situation where she's ready to end her life, and that's obviously tough in general to see someone feeling that way. But the thing about the film is, and obviously the film kind of has a pretty artificial feeling, positive, uplifting ending, but it felt real enough to me, the way they conveyed it, and it felt real enough to me in my mind that I believed it. They basically show a world that is possibly beyond hope, but then they show you hope. And it may be kind of cheesy, and I'm sure a lot of you rolled your eyes at the ending of the film, but for the most part, I was blown away by, and not because it was an amazing film or well-crafted or anything like that, but because of the stuff that resonated with me and my experiences. I watched it and I was like, it's possible to view the world as something that you can't help, and that will make you feel helpless. But if you focus on the things that are important to you, if you focus on the things close to you and the people close to you, then there is hope. And the great thing about that is that we all have that ability to find hope, even in the worst situations. I didn't expect to cry this much talking about bloody Hunger Games, but yeah, that's what I took from it. I got to the end of that film and those films, and while it definitely showed you in no uncertain terms that humanity may be a lost cause, it showed you that your personal humanity is not a lost cause and will never be, and that there's always a reason to keep fighting. Even if you're not fighting off mutant creatures in the sewers, you might be fighting off personal demons. And you are able to conquer those and not just survive, but improve and live. So that's what I got out of the Hunger Games movies. Yeah, and I hope that if you didn't enjoy them, I hope you still maybe can appreciate the message there. And even if you disagree with the message, and that's a shame, and I understand it, because at the end of the day, it was kind of cheesy in the movie. I just hope that while Hunger Games didn't tell me anything I didn't know, it reminded me of things that I knew and needed to remember. And I hope that you have something that helps you in that regard. I need a cup of tea after that, because I didn't expect that to hit me as hard as it did. So I apologize if I sip my tea while I'm talking to you about this next part. Hopefully I won't cry into it, because I don't like salt in my tea. The next thing I want to talk about is apathy. And it kind of goes hand in hand with loneliness back last week that I talked about. And I hope I don't just retread old ground. I know that I've said multiple times in these videos that I will be repeating myself. But again, repetition doesn't mean that what I'm saying is meaningless, and I hope that you don't feel that way. Repetition is an important part of healing. If something works, and if you need to hear something over and over again for it to stick, then it's important to repeat it. But I've dealt with apathy a lot as a result of my depression, and when I talk about apathy, I mean the feeling of nothing mattering, and not being able to make a difference in anything, even if you try. And that's how I feel a lot of the time, actually, and more so because of the depression. But I feel, even in regards to what I'm doing right now, and I don't know if what I'm doing matters. But it's important for me to do it, because it feels like it helps me. And today especially, I need all the help I can get. Just for the next 3 hours anyway. But you're going to feel like you don't matter. You're going to feel like, what you do doesn't matter. Whether that comes to, schoolwork, or, a job, or stuff you do for fun, hobbies, writing, telling jokes, whatever it is you do, you're going to feel at some point in your life like it doesn't matter. And when you're depressed, that just amplifies it. It feels like not only does it not matter, it will never matter, and it never mattered. And why are you bothering? And why don't you just leave? And that's not helpful. Not a helpful way of thinking. And it's a very dangerous way of thinking because obviously, while it seems harmless, it's like, oh, well, this doesn't matter. It can lead to, something much worse. If you feel like the things you do don't matter, you start to feel, as I said, like you don't matter. And you do matter. And I was thinking over this segment before, and I was like, I don't really have an explanation as how to deal with it. I don't really have a way of getting through apathy, because I still feel apathy as strongly as I've ever felt it. I feel it right now. And I'm hoping, I don't know, but I'm hoping that the thing that you're feeling right now is, well, he's an idiot. Why would he think that? I want you to know that I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that you think I'm an idiot, and that, maybe you do think what I'm doing matters, but I think what you're doing matters. And I wouldn't be here if that weren't the case. I wouldn't be talking to you right now if that weren't the case. Mariana tells me I live my life, I used to live my life at the very least for the wrong reasons, because I just focused on other people, and my own worth was dependent on what other people felt. And I don't mean I have to be liked. I just mean that I have to be making people happy, otherwise I'm not happy, and people aren't happy a lot of the time. I hate to say it. So as a result, I felt like I was wasting my time, and I still feel that. But I want you to know that you make me feel worth a lot of things. And I want you to know that I don't even want to say it, but you're not worthless. You're not worthless, because I'm talking to you right now. And here's the thing, no matter what I've said throughout these videos, and throughout this video especially, I have the help that I need. I will be okay. I'm not going to kill myself. And I've told you that, and I mean that. But I need to keep doing these videos because you matter to me. And I don't know you. It's very likely I don't know you. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that I give a crap that you're listening and that you're here. So, if you ever feel worthless, try to remind yourself that, there's evidence that you're not. It may not be staring you in the face, but nothing that matters often does that. Love doesn't tend to just be an obvious thing. Happiness doesn't just come to us magically, but it's there. It's waiting for us. We just have to get through this feeling, and eventually we'll make it to the more positive ones. You are worth happiness, and you are worth love, and you are worth life. And I wouldn't be saying these things if it wasn't true. Apathy makes it difficult for me to get out of bed in the morning. It makes it difficult for me to do this. It makes it difficult for me in general. But I must be making a difference. We both are. We just have to try to never forget that. It's like I said, I don't have a solution. I don't have a way out. I don't have a map of how these feelings work. I don't know if there is one. The fight goes on. I hope that you know that you're not the only one feeling this way. And that doesn't mean you're not unique or whatever, but it means that you're not alone. You'll never be really alone. And I'm not really alone right now. So, there you go. Still drinking my tea. And from my Darth Maul Donald Duck mug that my good friend Andrew Dickman got me from Disneyland, and I'm still really appreciative. It's my favorite mug, and he got it for me when I broke in one of my other ones that I loved, so this is my new favorite. And it's Star Wars related and Disney related, so it's the best. But I just want to say thank you for joining me for this one. Like I said, had a bit of a rough morning. and I think this definitely helped. I'm still a bit upset. I'm sure I'm showing that. I'm sure I'm not hiding that very well. But I'm keeping busy. Mariana and I are supporting each other, and I hope that you can find the support you need. And I really hope that you know that you do matter. And I'll see you next week. Hopefully I'll be in a better mood. Hopefully we both will. I'll see you later.